right, we're going to get started. It's going to be Sid Rosenberg first, followed by Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman, B-L-A-K-E-M-A-N, followed by Congressman Anthony D'Esposito, Congressman from the 4th District, and Mike Lawler, Congressman from New York's 17th District. After they speak, we'll take questions, starting from this side, going around. Sid, all you.
Tell me when to go live.
Ready? You're good to go, sir. Have you guys move over just a little bit? Perfect. All you, Sid. Thank you.
Can each speaker just introduce themselves?
Yes. My name is Sid Rosenberg. I am the morning show host, 77 WABC Radio. And this idea was born on my radio show at 6 a.m. this morning. First of all, let me thank everybody for coming out here today. It's important for all the press that we see for these people across the street taking over our city. It's important that the pro-Israel, the pro-Jewish voices be heard as well, especially today, with tonight being the first night of Passover. That's why I thought today is the perfect time to come and hold this conference. We see what's happening right across the street. I see tents in there. I see camps in there. I can't believe in New York City, with such a large and proud Jewish population, that we've allowed this to happen. That people have taken over universities and are out in the streets promoting a group that murdered, tortured, and raped innocent Jewish people on a Saturday morning during Shabbat, I should say, and a Jewish holiday. Unprovoked murder and rape, and yet we've got people all over this city, right there across the street, that are promoting this as if it's a good thing. So I've got a lot of friends in politics, and these are fine people. So I want to bring them each one by one so they can tell you how they feel today on this important Passover holiday right here across the street from one of our finest institutions that at this point has been taken over by terrorists. That's what these people are. They're terrorists. If you're a pro-terrorist, you're a terrorist. Okay? I'm not okay with that. So with that said, let me bring up Nassau County Executive, Mr. Bruce Blakeman.
Thank you very much, Sid. Thank you. Thank you, Sid, for your courage and your advocacy and for putting this together today, because it's important. And I also want to thank my Congressman Anthony D'Esposito and Congressman Mike Lawler for their advocacy, for their courage, for their strength in Congress. You know, we in Nassau County send thousands of students to our universities throughout the United States. And what we're seeing happen on these campuses is disgraceful. We have Jewish students who are being attacked. We have one, Sahar Tartak from Nassau County, Yale University, stabbed in the eye, almost lost her eye. Why? Because she's Jewish. This nation was formed and founded on religious freedom. And these people that are protesting, they're professional protesters. They are anti-American. They are anti-American values. And we have to stand up to them. Yeah. And by the way, President Shafiq, shame on you. Shame on you for not protecting these students. Shame on you for letting these protesters and these thugs to take over your university. We are not going to let that happen. This is still the United States of America, and we will stand firm to make sure that Jewish students are safe when they go to the universities and that American values are adhered to. This is a wake-up call, not only for the Jewish people, but for all Americans. Israel is the appetizer. They're trying to destroy Israel. The main course has always been America. When they talk about death to Israel, what do they follow that with? Death to America. We know what they're up to. We know who these people are, and we're not going to stand for it. So Sid Rosenberg, thank you. Congressman Lawler, Congressman D'Esposito, thank you. Thank you for standing up. And we will be vigilant, we will be strong, and we will be proud to be Jewish Americans. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce Blakeman, for that impassioned speech. Thank you very much. He mentioned, of course, another great Long Island native, a young congressman doing a fantastic job, very pro-Israel, my friend Anthony D'Esposito.
Well, thank you, Sid. And we're here this morning, and I wish we didn't have to be here. Because what we've seen following the days of October 7th are people throughout this country, but specifically here today, attacking Jews, calling for the destruction of Israel. What we're seeing is not just an attack on Jews or an attack on Israel, it's an attack on democracy. And we are here today to make it very clear. I stand with my colleague, Mr. Lawler. We have worked together to put so many pro-Israel pieces of legislation across the floor of the House of Representatives. We are going to continue that work. And we are going to call on educational institutions like Columbia. If you cannot control what is happening at your university, if the president of this university is failing to keep students safe, well, then she shouldn't be eligible for any federal aid coming into this university. And we will continue to fight that good fight. Ladies and gentlemen, this is truly an attack on democracy. It's an attack on our values. When we hear death to Israel, death to America, it's a threat to all of us. This is not a political thing. It's not a Republican thing. It's not a Democrat thing. It's the right thing. To stand behind Israel, stand behind its people, and do the right thing. So, Sid, thank you for putting this together. And as someone who never forgets where he comes from, I do want to give a sincere thanks to the men and women of the New York City Police Department who keep this city safe each and every day. Thank you, Sid.
Thank you, Anthony. I mean, imagine we're all out here today on this beautiful sunny afternoon in New York City, the day of Passover. Jewish people asking New York and the federal government to protect us. Imagine that. You ever think in this city we come to that day? Well, guess what? We don't need your help. We got the NYPD, and we've got some very proud Jewish people. We'll do it ourselves. With that said, let me introduce another great congressman out of Rockland County, Mike Lawler.
Thank you, Sid, and thank you to County Executive Blakeman and my good friend and colleague, Congressman Anthony D'Esposito. Mom, Dad, I just killed 10 Jews with my bare hands. Those words were the words I heard when I visited Israel a month after October 7th and watched a 21-minute video, raw footage, unedited, of the Hamas terrorist attack on October 7th and listened to a young Palestinian man call home to his parents to say how he butchered 10 Jews with his bare hands. That level of hatred is taught. It's taught in the schools in Gaza. And unfortunately, we see it being taught on schools in America. Yeah. It is unacceptable, and it must stop, and it must stop today. Yeah. Every single one of these college and university presidents who refuse to take action should immediately resign in disgrace, and if they don't resign, their asses should be thrown out. I have never seen a more disgraceful act than what we are seeing on college campuses right now. I'm Irish Italian Catholic. I love this country. We are a nation of immigrants. We are a nation of many religions, many races, many ethnicities. Our country is the most free country in the world. And yet what we are seeing on these campuses is an absolute abomination. These children that are engaged in this anti-Semitic hate should be expelled immediately. Every last one of them.
I've introduced 2 pieces of legislation to combat anti-Semitism. The Stop Anti-Semitism on College Campuses Act, which would defund every institution of higher learning of federal dollars if they promote or sanction anti-Semitic events like we are seeing right now at Columbia University. Every last federal dollar should be taken away, including student aid. These children are not entitled to it. It is a disgrace what is happening. The second thing is this. The Anti-Semitism Awareness Act must become law immediately. We must adopt the IRA working definition of anti-Semitism and all of its contemporary examples, and these institutions of higher learning should be held accountable. The Department of Education needs to adopt the IRA working definition, and it needs to enforce it immediately. Congress has a responsibility to act. Anthony and I have worked together introducing numerous pieces of legislation, not only to support the State of Israel, not only to combat terrorism by Iran and its proxies, Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis, but to combat anti-Semitism here in America. We will not tolerate it anymore. Every one of these universities and colleges should be held accountable. We've now had 4 university presidents testify before Congress, every last one of them an embarrassment to education. They should be removed immediately, period. Sid, thank you for your courage. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for standing up for what is right. Anti-Semitism must be rooted out wherever it rears its ugly head. And the governor, the mayor, this institution, and every institution in New York State has a responsibility to act and act immediately. End of story.
Once again, I want to thank everybody for coming out here today. This is an important event. Certainly want to thank Bruce Blakeman, Anthony D'Esposito, and Mike Lawler. If you folks have any questions, we'll start on the right. We do have actor Michael Rappaport showing up momentarily. He's also a very big Jewish voice in the community. He got stuck in traffic. He'll be here momentarily, but we'll take questions starting on the right. Blakeman, D'Esposito, and Lawler. Thank you.
Yeah, anyone? Yeah, in the middle.
What do the events on campus mean for freedom of speech?
Everybody has the right to protest. They have the right to voice their opinion. The moment you turn that into physical assaults or threats against others is the moment you lose that right. And you don't have the right to federal dollars to fund this anti-Semitism and bigotry that we are seeing not only on Columbia University but across this country. We want to make sure that education is rooted in truth, in facts, in history, and that people are taught to respect one another. We all have the right to our opinions. We all have the right to voice our opinions. We don't have the right to threaten or physically assault anyone else, and they should be held accountable, starting with arrest and expulsion for anybody that engages in it.
Yes. On the ground.
There are also other pro-Palestinian students, some of them Jewish, setting up Shabbat services on the lawn, Jews for Palestine tents. I mean, what do you have to say about claims that Columbia is an encampment for Palestinian citizens who's anti-Semitic if that is their case?
Yeah, so first of all, I would echo what Congressman Lawler said. Free speech is a right that's guaranteed here in the United States, but it's not a right to intimidate. It's not a right to harass. It's not a right to attack. It's not a right to block bridges. It's not a right to block access for students to get in their classrooms. There are places where you can go and exercise free speech. Now, with respect to your question, look, there are people that have differences of opinions, okay? And they're entitled to have differences of opinions. But the one fact that remains is Hamas is a terrorist organization. They engaged in rape. They engaged in murder. They chop babies' heads off. They put babies in ovens. Who's supporting these people? Anybody who supports people like that, I would say they are terrorists themselves. And that is not to be condoned no matter what they identify themselves as.
Any more? All right, James, last one.
Appreciate it. This may be a follow-up, but I'm not sure. What response do you have to people participating in the protest now that are calling for a ceasefire, calling for Palestinian rights, who are themselves Jewish on the first day of Passover. What message do you have for them?
I can, as a Jewish American, let me say that I am disgusted by any Jew who would march with people who support Hamas, who say death to Israel, who say death to America. Both my parents were World War II veterans. My son was in the Marine Corps. We're very proud to be Americans, and we're proud to be Jewish Americans. And to have any Jew march with people who are anti-Israel or anti-American, a country that did so much for Jewish people and Jewish immigrants, I think is disgraceful, and I consider them traitors.
Let me just say, Hamas is a terrorist organization that brutally butchered, slaughtered, maimed innocent women, children, and babies. Okay? Anyone that would support Hamas needs to have their head examined. All right? Here's the bottom line. If you want a ceasefire, the fastest way for a ceasefire to occur is for Hamas to surrender and the hostages to be released. Yes. The hostages. Why are these people not calling for the release of hostages, including Americans? I have met with the families of these hostages, these innocent families that have had to suffer and endure for over 6 months. I want the Palestinian people to be free. You know who they should be free from? Their oppressors, Hamas. Yes. That is who is responsible for their plight today.
All right. That's it. Thank you, guys. Hold on, Mike Rappaport's coming, but...
Go ahead.
Yeah, she should absolutely resign. The people of this institution should no longer want someone who's promoting anti-Semitic acts in that office.
There is a delegation letter coming demanding the resignation. She should resign immediately.
Their endowment, that'll show them. The federal government can do that because they see federal grants.
Will Representative Gottheimer be joining you in the letter, or?
I think it's in New York.
It's a New York member's letter. But obviously, I'm sure he's free to join in the call, for sure.
I mean, it was said that he was coming today.
Well, I think they're doing something different.
Does anybody know how much
He's in the main building.
Colombia?
I'm sorry?
Does anybody know how much PR is actually spending on Colombia?
I don't have the numbers.
All right, so we're going to be done here, and then if you just wait a minute, Michael Rappaport will be here, but we're done here. Thank you.
Thank you. Good job. Good job. How are you?
How are you now?
Thank you so much. I wanted to come to our Seder. So 47 West 30th. I don't know your schedule, but please.
I tried to keep him here.
Yours.
Can I get a quick question?
Yeah.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good to see you.
Same here.
I just wanted to hear from you in your own words what brought you to Colombia today.
I think, what we're seeing is an absolute outrage. The fact that we